The next session starts now and it will end up at around 4 o'clock. We'll have a question and answer session at the end. And I would like to introduce my colleague, Roberta Bernasconi, who's going to present an overview of Chesar. And afterwards, she will do a live demonstration on Chesar 2.0 and talk about the updates of the Chesar tool. So please, you can talk now.
Thank you. So, what I want to do today is to demonstrate you the Chesar tool. It will be an eye-level demonstration, meaning that I will try to simulate an example, but we won't be able to go deep in the tool because of the timing, because of the fact that you need to play yourself and you need to have your own scenario to play with. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, a quick introduction to Chesar, because I have no clue if you had already the chance to use it or to see it or whatever. So just to prevent any problem, I will go with this general overview in which I will say what is the scope of Chesar, what it supports, the organization of Chesar, and of course the workflow of the tool. So, what's Chesar? Chesar is a chemical safety assessment and reporting tool. It's a web application that can be used as a standalone on your own machine or as a server version, with a distributed package. It provides a workflow support to the CSA. It supports the sharing of assessment or part of the assessment that you have done among the different companies or different users or different assessors. This is then dependent on your organization. And of course, it aims as a maximum to standardize and to harmonize the information inside the chemical safety assessment and then inside the chemical safety report. Chesar supports the full description of the life cycle of a substance with a view to the exposure assessment. It supports, of course, the exposure assessment, meaning the description of use meant to go to the exposure scenario, the exposure estimation, both from the built-in exposure estimation tool like the TRA or EUchemicals, or from external exposure estimation tool like whatever else you have been using or you are using. So you can manually report the information from the tools that you are using into Chesar or directly from measured data, from sets of measured data. Then Chesar, of course, does the risk characterization of the substance, and it generates the chemical safety report, section 9 and 10. Chesar will be able very soon, or kind of soon, to generate also the exposure scenario to be annexed to the safety data sheet. Then I will come a bit later with the planning of the next future of Chesar. So basically what we aim to do with Chesar is to give the full possibility of doing the assessment workflow in a proper way. So we have the information from the Euclid, the blocks that you see in orange, I think. The information from the endpoints, the different endpoints, and the information on the other assessment conclusion. Then this information combined with the description of uses that can be done in Chesar and then can be reported also in Euclid. The combination of this information gives also the possibility to get the exposure scenario building and, of course, the exposure estimation and risk characterization that goes out as a CSR to the authorities or as an exposure scenario annexed to the safety data sheet. So just to be, I don't want to be deep in this thing because I just want to talk to you about Chesar, but just to demonstrate how the information flow goes. So the mandatory elements in the CSA, CSR are related to the other part of the substance, so the assessment of the intrinsic properties, the physical, chemical, environmental, fate properties, the human health, with all the different effects on the different routes, the environmental hazard, and everything is, of course, available in the Euclid dataset, and you have been using Euclid for reporting this kind of information. What I want to point out is the fact that in the Euclid 5.4, the new version of Euclid, you have some information related to the hazard that has been changed. So you have the PBT assessment in section 2.3. You see it highlighted in in red in the life cycle. Sorry, in the tree view of Euclid 5. And the ecotoxicological information, so the general endpoint summary that you find in section 6, as well as the toxicological information in section 7. So the PBT section has been introduced as a new element in Euclid. The sections 6 and 7, the endpoints in section 6 and 7 have been largely revised, let's say. So it's now the information is much better organized, and you will realize it when looking at the screens. So the other part of the mandatory elements in the CSR and CSA and CSR are the ones that Chesar may provide or can provide. So the identification of the uses of the full life cycle of the substance, the exposure assessment with the condition of use, meaning we intend with condition of use all the operational condition and risk management measure, and the corresponding, of course, release and exposure estimates in case of quantitative assessment. And finally, the risk characterization that can be quantitative or qualitative depending on the nature of your scope of exposure. So if you have PNEC or DNER, you will have a quantitative exposure estimates, quantitative risk characterization. If not, you will have a qualitative one. So from this point of view, in Euclid, you will have the new, or actually one revised section, the section 3.5, where to report the uses, and a brand new section, the section 3.7, in which you can report the exposure scenario information. So just a little break to understand if everybody has understood what I meant with this. Is it clear? Any question? If you have any question, please raise your hand and press the button, I don't know, and we will take care of trying to answer. So basically, the workflow is that Chesar is digesting the information from Euclid. It takes just what it needs, so not the full information from the database, from the substance inside the database of Euclid, but it takes what it needs. Then in Chesar, you define your map of uses. You may input the information from external libraries, but those external libraries, we will take care of going a bit deeper in the analysis of this library. I will try also with the demo. I'm not promising miracles, but I would like you to understand what we meant with these libraries. So everything is digested by Chesar. In Chesar, you have these tier 1 exposure estimation tools, which are the ACETOC TRA and EUSIS. Then, I said in my slide before, you can input the information from external exposure estimation tools, Stoffen Manager, Conceptful, whatever it is. And of course, in Chesar, you can define your own library in a way that you can assign to the exposure scenario of a single use the exact condition of use that you need to be reported. And then there is a connection or a way back from Chesar to Euclid 5.4, meaning that you can copy in Euclid the uses that you have defined in Chesar. This is the meaning of the way back to Euclid. And finally, you can produce your CSR. And actually, with the information from Euclid 5.4 and from Chesar, you are able at the end to have a full CSR, a complete one. You see in the slides that, I don't know, can I use this? No, you don't see. Anyway, there are some, so this exposed scenario for extended safety data sheet is in gray because it will come with Chesar 2.2. It will come, as well as the dots that are going from Chesar to Euclid 5.4. So the function is almost there, but we need Euclid to be a bit able to digest it. So it will come very, very soon. So the Chesar boxes, so hope that the workflow is fine. Chesar is organized in 7 boxes. The first one, you manage the substance, meaning that you import or export the information that you have in the database of Chesar. And in box 2, you report all the uses that you need to for the single substance. In box 3, you manage the assessment, meaning that you really you visualize the quantitative assessment. In box 4, you build your exposed scenario and you do your CSR generation. And then box 5 will come. For the time being, there is a nice message like, to be done, or something like that, but it will come, we promised. And box 6, the library management, is the place where you can define your own library or import the library from the sector of use or from sector organization or from other industry. I'm telling always this thing that we'll go back to the library concept in a while, but I will come. And then finally, we have a brand new box for Chesar version 2, which is this box 7 that relates to the user management, meaning that now, whenever you create a new determinant, so a new condition of use, you have also the possibility to get the author name, meaning that it will be much easier in the exchange of information, who has created what and how to deal with updates later on. So this is the organization of the boxes. Now, the nice slide on the Chesar workflow. We start with the physical chemical properties and the result of hazard assessment from Euclid. So the environment, human health, and the PBT status, which is brand new from Euclid. Everything is imported in Chesar. From Chesar, you can import or export already pre-made CSAs, of course in the format of Chesar. And then in Chesar, you describe the uses that you have in your substance in box 2. So you will have to a bit try to get used to the icon. Then after a while, it will be easy to recognize which box is referring to. So the description of uses can be done from scratch in the Chesar. Directly in Chesar, so you build step by step all your uses from the manufacturer, formulation, the site use, the consumer use, and blah, blah. Or you can import directly the life cycle tree that has been created by somebody else, which is desirable, let's say, and that can be then refined on your substance. So this is a good thing because you can also use so for several substances, the same piece of information if it is a good use, let's say. So either the full life cycle tree or little pieces of the life cycle tree and whatever it is. Then another piece of the workflow, you have to set the information or to visualize or to input the information related to the quantitative exposure assessment. So this is done in box 3, which has this nice icon with those bars. And to do that, you will need, if you do something else than using the Tier 1 default assessment tool, then you will need to create your CSA element in the library. So there is a tight connection between the box 3 and box 4 and the box 6 of Euclid. So those CSA elements are the determinant types. This term means condition of use. So risk management measure or operational condition. Then you have the SPERC library, in which you are, if the sector has developed a SPERC, which is in the format of Chesar, that can be downloadable from a website, their website, you can download and import directly in your Chesar, and then carry on the assessment by using the SPERC that has been already generated by somebody else. So it means that it's really a piece of work that you should avoid, that you will avoid in this case. SPERC is a specific ERC, in case somebody is not very familiar. And finally, as last element of our library in Chesar, you have the standard phrases, in which you may wish to import the ESCOM catalog, for example, in a way that you have the full list of phrases that you may need for your exposure scenario for communication, basically, because then everything will be carried directly in the ES SDS. Okay, so the yellow there means that, of course, what is more desirable is not to really type in the information in your Chesar, but to be able to convince the sector organization to do the work for you companies in a way that let's say the harmonization across the companies and across the sector is ensured or can be ensured. Bing. Then finally, in box 4, you can build your exposure scenario. And of course, you have to characterize the risk both for quantitative and qualitative assessment type. And finally, box 4 gives you the possibility directly to generate only section 9 and 10 of the CSR, which are the ones related to the CSA. And as a further step, there is this communication back with what we call Euclid CSR plugin generator, which is a brand new plugin that is currently being developed. I cannot say that, sorry. And it's being built, and it's currently under testing phase, so we have it, but it's not yet ready for you to get it. It will come, and with this plugin in your Euclid, you will be able to generate the full CSR, meaning that the plugin will ask you, do you have a CSA file from Chesar? Yes, so you upload the file, and then everything will be generated, taken care by the plugin in Euclid, without avoiding any problem. Avoiding any problem related to the consistency of the data, because there will be a check between the information that you have put in your Chesar and the information that are stored in the Euclid database. Then, of course, if you don't want to create a full CSR, you may wish to just send back the information in 3.5 or in 3.7. So 3.5 will come, 3.7 will come a bit later. And finally, as a last piece of the workflow in Chesar, you will be able to extract very, very soon, also from Chesar 2.0, the information from the extended safety datasheet. And of course, this information can be directly exported to the company health and environment health systems. Any question on this nice slide? So I don't know if any of you has ever used Chesar 1.2, but everything was already implemented in Chesar 1.2. So Chesar 2.0 will have a better interface, a better way of dealing with data, copy-paste, more strong, more, we have improved. But we improved so much that at the end, the timeline is a bit shifted for the implementation of the box 5. So just a few words again on the library, because it's one of the main concepts, and we want really to stress it as much as we can, because it's really the key point of the full assessment. So you have the determinant types, the SPERC, and the standard phrases. Determinant types are the operational conditions that are related to a single thingy. Of course, you can define your own operational condition that can be then with a view of the future and the others, substance that you will have to assess. It has to be put in place in a way that can be reusable several times. So not only for one single substance, but several times in your library. So for each determinant type, to each condition of use, you can assign several values depending on the matter that you are treating. For instance, incineration of the sludge outside, inside, whatever. So you do. You create your determinant type, or the fact that you need the goggles for protecting the eyes, the type of the goggles, or whatever. Then you have the SPERC, which I briefly said before. So the SPERC is a specific HERC that should be created by the sector, not by you as a company, because if not, it would be really, it makes more sense if somebody else is doing that. And then the SPERC carries with it a piece of assessment, basically, because it gives you already the emissions to the environment. Standard phrases, again, they are used to communicate condition of safe use, and this is why they are so important. But of course, we have to have a library from which we can import in Chesar the information, and this library is currently under development by the CEFIC working group on the ASCOM. So finally, this is the last slide, then we go to the demo. I hope it was not too much. So the data flow, so basically, also the data flow can go also from the downstream user organization that can give you, as a registrant, the information on the use-specific CSA elements. So in a way that you can assess immediately what is the information in your Chesar. Then substance, then this information is combined with the substance-specific data for the generation of the CSR and the exposure scenario for the SDS. And of course, what is tricky and important is this IT exchange format that has to be maintained all over the flow. If there is a breakage, meaning that if the downstream user organization is providing you information not in the right format, then Chesar cannot eat it. So then you are not able to reuse the information. Good. So that was the very quick intro of Chesar. If you have any question, that's the moment. I will try to answer. If no question, it means that I was so clear that everything is perfectly, no, I don't know. But the workflow is very, very well defined, but working with a Chesar tool could be a bit more tricky. Okay? But the good thing is that you should have in your mind the fact that it's very logical and the key elements are the ones that I throw to you with this presentation.
It seems that we have one question.
Yes?
So please, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering about the box 5, the generation of ES for extended safety data sheet. Maybe I missed it, but when do you plan to have that in place?
How does it work? Okay. So the plan is beginning of next year. Then I have some slides that that will conclude my demo at the end of after the demo itself on the future of Chesar. Good. Others?
We go first with Philippe.
Yes, just a question. I was interested by your slide showing that you will have a functionality of editing exposure scenarios from Chesar. Do you think it will be possible when this module will be available to use Chesar because Chesar is originally made for substances, but it will be possible to use it for mixtures when we have to edit exposure scenarios for mixtures?
Can you hear me? It's green.
Yes.
Okay. So Chesar for the moment has been developed for substances. Our current plan is to extend the applicability of Chesar to other type of substances because, of course, the main applicability of Chesar is really monoconstituent, I mean standard assessment cases. Now we would like to extend it to, for example, multi-constituent substances, and as you know, multi-constituent substances sometimes are mixture. So hopefully if we manage to develop Chesar in this direction, I can't promise any date for the moment, let's see how this expands. You know also that assessment for mixture, there's a lot of development work at the moment. But of course, in terms of concept, I think this is something which may happen in the future.
Okay, we have another question at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a question about the information coming from the different associations. How many associations are at this moment already ready with their IT format that the information can be transferred into Chesar? And are you actively talking with these associations that all the associations will supply this information in the form that it can be used in Chesar?
I think it's more for Hélène. So I think here we try to give the message. I think we also have a very good cooperation, for example, with CEFIC. We had just 2 days ago, we organized a workshop with downstream user associations for the SPERC development and SPERC development with Chesar. It was very good. The difficulty is that, yeah, it's not that easy to mobilize everybody, but I think we do all our efforts, and CEFIC is doing a lot, maybe when we want to react on this, to try to mobilize the downstream user associations, for example.
Yeah, indeed, we try to get them as much as possible on board. And again, I think those which are very close to us, that's the easy way because we are more or less in daily contact. But we try indeed to convince more and more people, and that's also why we find it necessary that we have been developing a kind of standards also for generic exposure scenarios, so that people can take over a kind of general approach. If you want to start to do something, that you go immediately in the good direction. And also, and that's brand new also for you, Hélène, we have at least apparently also a breakthrough on the legal difficulties that we were confronted with. So it seems to evaluate or to going to evaluate somewhat quicker in near future. And if I may then add one question, because I got also a little question for Roberta. You were mentioning that it's probably beginning of next year that you can do the ES in Chesar. Do I have to understand that you then will freeze this for end of May, beginning June to release this? Because it's nice to have it beginning of January. There is also this kind of approved moratorium for changes in IT. Maybe we can discuss whether this is necessary in this case, but to give at least not a false hope.
Sorry, Roberta, I think it's easier. So we had a lot of discussion about that. Chesar 2.1, which is going to be released very soon now, in principle supports the import of standard phrase libraries and supports the association of standard phrases to, you will understand better after Roberta's presentation, but to the elements which have to be transported to the exposure scenario for communication. Saying this, we are working together with CEFIC that in principle what we are working is that ASCOM phrases can be imported into Chesar, but for that purpose, ESCOM needs to be updated. We have provided a tool so that it can be the Excel can be converted to a Chesar readable format. So when ESCOM will be delivered by CEFIC, it will contain also a version for Chesar. Regarding the moratorium, we had a lot of discussion, but we concluded that the exposure scenario for communication is not related to registration, and that's why we still plan to release the generation of exposure scenario for communication functionality in early next year, most probably around February. So we will, in principle, release, and it will only concern the exposure scenario for communication, so it does not affect registration.
Okay, so now we will move to a live demonstration of Chesar that Roberta will do once we have prepared the computer. Yes, you can start it.
Yeah,
Should show it first here.
yeah, but
Yeah, but show it first the resolution to the public.
okay. No, it's okay. That's fine. I mean, so this is my desktop. I'm opening the Chesar 2.1 version, so not the current one that is available on the net, but the one that will be very, very soon made available. So to start, it's quite handy. So for the ones that have worked with Chesar 1.2, so Chesar 1.2 was a plugin of Euclid, so you had to have Euclid open, and then you could do your work with Chesar. Now it's a standalone application, so everything is dealt in a browser. So I follow the information. This is my default browser, which is in Italian, and I've decided, for the sake of comprehension, to use the Internet Explorer, which is set in English. So I will close my Mozilla Firefox, sorry, and I will open the, so the Internet is not available on my PC, and I wanted to show this thingy because you have to be aware by the fact that even if Chesar is using the browser, it doesn't need the internet information, the internet plug, and so it protects your work, let's say. So I'm clicking the button, and this is the same interface, so at least it's in English. So to log in, the default information, the default username and password, which is provided with the package, is admin, not very difficult. But you may find difficulties in typing it. So when it's open, the Chesar tool, nothing basically is available with the exception of the main part of the box 1, in which you can just import, search, or perform an advanced search. In my case, I have nothing because it's a fresh installation, so I have to import something. And I have prepared already a file, a Euclid file, so I'm clicking it, opening it, and importing. So the fact that I have to import the file means that the information is, let's say, okay, it's successfully imported, fine. So now, well, I'll finish the sentence before. So the information is from Euclid to Chesar. So the other data is from Euclid to Chesar to ensure that it's the same. So we cannot modify anything in Chesar. So now the substance is uploaded. My file was ECA substance CSR example. And the default, so the CSA selected is the default one. This means that I just imported my substance, which is already uploaded there. I can search it, and this is the substance I meant. So this substance, by the way, is a substance that has been used to generate the illustrative example that has been published by ECA and that is under reviewing phase, so you will get a new or an updated, slightly updated version of this CSR illustrative example from ECA soon. Everything soon, but it will come. So just to understand what is the box 1, so the substance management, meaning that here I can upload as many substances as I wish, or I can import directly the CSA information already pre-filled by a colleague, by somebody else, by another company or whatever that wants to share the information. So the CSA management has the meaning of being able to create under the same substance different CSAs for reviewing or for your internal approaches. Meaning that in one you can do the default assessment, in the other one you can do a more refined, and the third one a very, very refined and eclectic, whatever, CSA. So that's it. And so it's easy, you just create, you assign a name, and it's done. Then you can revise the information that is available in the Euclid file, in the Euclid substance. So the name of the substance is a fake substance, meaning that this cast number is not really, but it's just for you to understand. Physical chemical properties, compared to Chesar 1, it's a bit better, meaning that it's collapsible and better visible, meaning that you can collapse the information or expand it. And an information that was already available also in Chesar 1 is the fact that the property is used as an input parameter for the plugged-in assessment tool, which are the TRA worker and TRA consumer, which is brand new. So it's the new thing that you will see in Chesar 2.1, and uses 2.1. If there is the information in brackets, it means that it's not a mandatory information to run the plugged-in tool, but if it's available, then it will be used. If not available, EU's machinery inside Chesar will calculate it for you. And so the rest is the revision, biodegradation information, bioaccumulation, abiotic degradation, absorption coefficient. So everything that comes from the Euclid that is useful for the assessment. Physical chemical properties as well, environmental hazard, in which you have the information on the PBT status. So in this case, the substance is not a PBT one. Then the hazard for the environment first. So you have for aquatic organisms, for air, terrestrial organisms, and hazard for predators. For each of the information that comes from Euclid, you have the related conclusion. So in this case, you have a PNEC, which is this. In case you do not have the information, for instance, for the air, of course, in Euclid, you have to select the right pick list item from the section 6, sorry. And at the end, in this case, for air, I have no hazard identified. The same for the human health. Oops, it's already selected. So I have the worker and the general population. So the two main blocks. For the worker, I have the hazard by inhalation routes, in which I have DINEL, the information, and for long-term exposure. In case of acute exposure, systemic effect, inhalation route. In this case, in my Euclid, there was no hazard identified. So this information is just a read-only, just for you to not forget what is inside the Euclid. Of course, the different pieces of sentences are, again, coming from the Euclid as well as the justification. And finally, the same for dermal route and for the eyes. And of course, the same blocks also for the general population, which has in the addition, has an additional route, also the oral route. So it's down there, here. Okay, then you have a nice overview of what is the risk characterization type needed for your substance in the scope of assessment tab, in which you have for environment, workers, and consumer, the information that is, the type of risk characterization. So for fresh water, we saw that there was a PNEC, so it will end up in a quantitative risk characterization type. So for air, we saw that there was no information. So the information, so the scope of assessment calculated by Chesar is assessment not needed. And I forgot to show you the qualitative. So for instance, the inhalation, local, long-term route, you have a qualitative. If we go back to our worker inhalation data, hazard unknown. So in this case, you have to have the justification and consequently the minimization of the information of the risk. Having said that, so you have the same for worker and consumer, and man by environment, which is coming from the combination of inhalation and oral. So, do you have any question on the box 1? It's just the information from Euclid. Then we move to box 2. Box 2 is completely empty, as nothing has been done for the time being. So I have to start and build my own information. So I will add, for instance, just for the sake of demonstration, a manufacturing stage. So I will call it manufacture in, I don't know, even manufacture. I will assign a tonnage, which is important. I will use 320, not by chance, but because I want them to upload the CSR illustrative example to which you are maybe used. So those data are exactly the same as the ones that you have had the chance to look at. So, of course, I can add also the information for the CSR contributing scenario, meaning that I can write there what is then reported or what I want to show in my CSR. I will change the default name for you to better understand that it is important to define exactly the name of the contributing scenario. Enclosed system, because this is my the information, and I have also, here it is, the internal remark area, which I'm not using for the time being. So now, as you can see, this ball, blue ball, has appeared, and this is the exposure scenario related to my manufacture use. Then for this stage, for this use, I want to add a worker contributing scenario, and I will call this as closed manufacturing process, or whatever it is, and I will put it proc1, so I have at my disposal the list of whatever is needed. And I wanted to show you the fact that you can also select standard phrases in a way that you have already the name, in the name of the contributing scenario, also the standard phrase, in case you have it. So again, explanation for the CSR contributing scenario. So it's always recommendable, if you have information to add it, actually, because then it's really the information is immediately transferred to the CSR. Then I'm creating also another worker contributing scenario. So I'll call this maintenance, because sometimes this maintenance and cleaning operation has to be done. Also, if it is in the manufacturing close system. And cleaning. I will pick the right proc, that in this case is transfer of substance in preparation, charging, discharging from vessel. Let's see if it's, okay, it's not appearing, okay. Then explanation for the CSR, again, needed, and internal remarks if you want to. So I will put it, maintenance, so cleaning, operation, done, blah, 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 whatever. Not whatever for the sake of the demonstration, sorry. But when you are doing your CSR, you should put the right information, of course. So let's say I'm happy with this node. I just wanted to show you how it works. So it can be a bit taking time exercise to build your life cycle, but once it's done, it's done. What I will show you is the fact that it's very easy, if you have it, to put it already. If somebody else has done it, you can upload it and import it. So now I have my full life cycle tree, which is there. Okay? So, and the nodes are manufacture, formulation. Then I have decided to put a market sector, and site end use, professional end use, consumer end use. So this is the information. And of course, inside the life cycle tree, you will be able to copy and paste a single piece of information to delete, to move up and down. It's much, much, much easier. For instance, you want to move up the full professional, and here it is with all the procs, or you want to reshuffle the information here, it's possible. And I will go back to the original, okay? And the collapsible, I mean, compared to Chesar 1, it's much easier, let's say, for the ones that had the chance to have a look at. And then we can go to the, any question on box 2? And of course, you can export and import also a piece of information. So what we call export of CSA blocks, export, import of CSA blocks, just a piece of the information. No question? Everything clear. Very good. Okay, I can go and move on, to the box 3. So in box 3, I have just the same tree as I had in my box 2 information. What I want to do is then now to generate the default assessment for all my life cycle tree, which is very easy. There is the magic stick, which does exactly magics, meaning that in a few moments it creates bloom. It uses TRA worker and bloop, TRA consumer assessments. What does it mean? It means that if I'm clicking on the uses contributing scenario, I will be able to see the releases that are based by default on ERCs, the exposure and risk characterization for the environment for this route, and with the ones that are already controlled or not. In this case, I have just the man by environment, which is controlled, and the rest, nothing. So some work has to be done. And then I have the list of the condition of use that are coming from the uses. So it means that the estimates for which so the estimators are indicated here, this local PEC, are coming if the condition of use indicated in down there in the condition of use tab are the ones there, indicated there. So the same for the TRA worker. I have the exposure and risk characterization ratio from the TRA for the routes that are quantitative, and of course, in case I have this little question mark blue, it means that something has to be done. It means that I have no quantitative assessment, and if I'm going back to my box 1, I will verify that for inhalation systemic acute, I don't have any DNL information. The same for the uses, of course, in which I have the predator freshwater and predator marine and top predator, which are not, which have this little icon as well as the air that we saw together that was not quantitative. So what I would like to do now, so the same also for the consumer, in which you have again the condition of use that have to be set for the category of the consumer itself, for the consumer use itself. So if I'm going to select waterborne latex wool paint, then I will have my condition of use related to the PC, and then I will have also the information on the routes that the TRA consumer is calculating for me. Any question on the default assessment? Of course, the estimates are changing if you change the subcategory, but okay. Okay, I can go on because I would like to go back to the environment and to let you be aware of the fact that, so the uses, you know that by default uses, I'm sorry for the repetition of the terms, the ERC information. So in this case, you have 6% of initial release factor that gives you the input for the estimates that we got from uses. So uses basically is taking the input from the release module, from the release module in Chesar and analyzing the information and then throw the result. What I can do is that I can, if I'm not totally agreeing, let's say, or if in my site there is a different condition that is ending in a different release to one of the environment sector, so the water, air, and soil, what I can do is to modify, let's say, the information, because in Chesar I can use the ERC, which is the default for the uses calculation, I can input myself the release factor, or I can use the measured release. So in this case, in my case, I know that I don't have, so the default of the environment for water is 6%. In my case, in my site, I know that I'm not using at all water, because also for the maintenance and cleaning and blah, blah, I'm using solvents. So water is not something that I have to deal with. So what I will do is to open this. I will change the release factor. I will put something like no water releases are occurring in my site because of this and that. I will put, instead of 6, 0, and I will explain much better what is the problem with my, or the condition in my site. For the air and the soil, I'm happy with the default of ERCs, because I cannot do anything. I mean, I'm working in a closed system in any case, and that is. So, now we have changed the releases to 0. Now I have this initial and this release, local release factor. What I see is that in my exposure estimates, now I have the water that is, the water compartments that is controlled. Mm-hmm. But now I miss another point, meaning that I have, in my life cycle tree asset, well, I have the workers, the activities that is done in closed system, but I have also this maintenance thing. And I have to report in my exposure scenario that I'm not actually using the water for that. So I have to justify the information in my, I have to put the information in my condition of use. And to do that, I can add one of these famous determinants. Mm-hmm. So, to be able to create a determinant in Chesar, what I will have to do is to go to box 6. So I will leave for the time being box 3. To box 6, not to box 7. And I will create my determinant. That for sure is for the environment. It's not a quantitative determinant, because I want to state that my water is not used. I'm not using any water, so it's a qualitative information. So I will use the qualitative category and, oops, sorry, thank you, I did a mistake. So again, so environment, qualitative, I'm not even able anymore to see what I'm doing. So now what I have to do is to put the label. So water used in process. And again, I'm not going to write a long story here, because it's just a demo. What I want to tell you is that if you are going to reuse this determinant, you should not put the strict information for a specific use in a specific substance. So you can be very general, and so you describe water use in the process of cleaning and maintenance, just generally said. It's only for water. I'm not doing anything for water and sale. The activities for workers is technical and organizational condition of measure. This is then where my condition of use is going inside the headers of the exposure scenario. And I will have to define, sorry, here, description of process. Is it late? No, I cannot even see the timing. I will describe my value. So I will say, yes, I'm using water. And I put it as a default, because I want to use it for others. And I will add, no, I'm not using water for this cleaning and maintenance information. Okay? So now my my determinant is set, I can validate it, and then there is an alert that says, do you want to finalize and save the determinant, or just save it, or cancel? So the difference between finalization and just this normal saving is that if you finalize your determinant, then you cannot modify it anymore. Meaning that you will be able to use in your assessments only determinants or condition of use that are frozen. Because if not, it will make no sense to go back what I did, so we put this strict constraint on the uses of these determinants. So I will finalize it because I'm happy with that. And also, although I have the 3 dots, so I go back now to my ERC assessment. I go to my condition of use, and I will try to add my determinant. I will search for it, so I will use the advanced search. So I put it as a qualitative, and it was for water, and it can go like that. So I have other determinants, but it's okay. We pick the one that I've created, the one with the 3 dots, okay? And I set the value as no, because then I have to explain, sorry, not here, this, so for this process, no water is needed as solvent are used, okay? Solventa. Okay? Then I am going to save the information. I'm going back to my condition of use, and this is the determinant that I have used. That will appear in the CSR, that will appear in the exposed scenario for communication. Okay? So the main difference between what is coming from EU's condition of use, let's put it as uses in hyphens. What is this? Brackets or whatever it is, I don't know the name, is that you cannot delete the one that are predefined, but you can delete the one that you have just added. Is it clear? Of course, in this little example that I've done, there is the problem of the 6% here, where it's going, what it's doing. So I will have to justify also this, just for the sake of completeness. So I will put the releases are going this, so this 6% for conservativeness can go to the waste, and blah, 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 and then I will incinerate, and I will do all the risk management measures necessary to ensure the safe use of the substance. So this is what for the environment. Then we quick look at the human health. For the PROC 1, I'm happy because green, I have to do nothing. I cope with the condition of use, default condition of use of TRA, so I'm very happy. Nothing has to be done. PROC 8A, blah, blah, blah. There is some problem because I have red and red, so I have to do something. And the something that I can do is to analyze what I'm doing in my plant and what workers are doing and wearing during their job. And I can see from the practical point of view that, for example, the workers are using respirators and thermal protection thingy, and that they have a shift, the work shift, which is a bit reduced with respect to the default TRA. So I can do something. So duration of activities, instead of 4, I put it a bit less, and I will justify the thermal protection. So I said that I have the gloves, the basic gloves, which have the effectiveness of 90%, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and already now I can see that the thermal is okay-ish, because I have my RCR that is less than 1, so the green flag appears. I forgot to say that the green appears when the RCR is less than 1 and the risk is controlled, and the red appears when it's bigger than 1. Okay, having said so, I go back to my list of determinants, and I know that they are using actually the respirator and with the effectiveness 90%, and I'm very happy because now it's controlled. So this is what I wanted to show you for the TRA. Of course, then if you have external data, you can add external, if you have, oh, now I'm doing a mess. If you have measured data on your workers, then you can add whatever it is, because, I mean, it will be created in another assessment line. So I can do it. Test 1, I'm doing only for the full routes, although it doesn't make lots of sense because I know that it's qualitative. So I will remove something. Okay. Okay. Or I can add also if I have, for instance, a qualitative scope of exposure, I can have external data, I can have measured data that I want to be shown in my exposure, in my CSR. So let's keep it like that. And now what I will have to do is to enter the information in the exposure, so the numbers that I need to put. Of course, I cannot invent because I have no clue, but I will put 1.2 milligram. And of course, the justification, and the risk is controlled with this data. And of course, I will have to add all the conditions of use that are standing or justifying my measured data. It's the same process. Is it okay? Smile. Any questions?
I have a question. Your assessment is now based on a liquid. On a liquid, you have, yeah. How can you change that? So I have a solid first, and the use is in this as a water solution. So I have the formulation as a solid and the transfer to vessels as a solid, but then it's dissolved. So the dyeing process, then it's in a liquid.
Good question. And I think it's, again, Hélène that will provide.
In fact, this was also a surprise to us, but after discussion with ESETOC, it seems that the ESETOC Tier A tool does not support the assessment of solids in liquid mixture. So Chesar only implemented the ESETOC as it is, meaning that this is not supported neither by ESETOC nor by Chesar. Unfortunately, when you use the Excel tool of ESETOC, you know that only if you read the user manual, and we try to make this a bit more explicit, but that's the only difference.
So, yeah. Well, when I did my assessment with EasyTalk 3, I just did 2 assessments, one for solid and one for liquids. But that's not possible here because the phase is taken from Euclid.
What you can do is to report the information and the justification on everything by using this other thingy, add external exposure estimation tool, and put other TRA and you do all.
Nevertheless, in principle, the calculations you have done by playing with ESETOC, in principle, is not okay, meaning that the calculations you got by using the Excel version is not okay if you read the user manual. So whether you use Chesar, whether you use ESETOC, it's the same. The exposure estimates does not cover your case.
Thank you. You have to rely on other tools or more tiered tools.
Okay. The second question, for the uses in Euclid, you can give tonnages and the number of sites. When you put the tonnages here into your different uses, is that for all sites together? So when you use it, then, for instance, the dyeing process in one dyeing house, is that put you in the complete tonnage and it's automatically divided by the number of sites you give in? Or do you have to divide that per hand so that you say, oh, I have 100 sites, they use 100 tons, so it's 10 tons per site, and you give then 10 tons there in this use?
So what I know is that you put the tonnage, the overall tonnage, and then if you have a different annual use at the site, you may modify this parameter, which is the default. Instead of 320, you put the number that is related to your site, and you justify whatever. Okay. So now I move to box 4. I'm looking at the timing, but yeah. That's what I wanted to. So the box 4 is the one in which I have I can build my exposure scenario, basically. So in this case, I have again the same life cycle tree that goes along my interface, and I have this question mark that says, well, nothing has been done. And actually, I've done nothing for my risk characterization. What I have to do is, first of all, to create the default risk characterization and an exposure scenario for all the nodes. And of course, I will get lots of red, red, red because I've done nothing, with the exception of the ERC one. And well, I forgot even to change at the end the proc 8. Maybe we go quickly back because I just wanted to show you how it works. So it's the array worker, and no, but it's okay because, well, sorry, it's there. Okay, so I can go in this case and I can see that everything is controlled and I have no problem with my exposure, with my risk characterization. However, I can attach, or can add other conditions of use that are impacting on the risk characterization. So, which are not related to the estimates, but which have to be reported in the exposure scenario. For example, in my case, for my site and in my processes, I know that the substance that is used to clean the floor or whatever, so the maintenance and cleaning thingy, I'm not using water, but I'm using solvents, which are slightly annoying for the eyes, and the eyes are not at all taken care in my exposed scenario. So I have to do something. So what I will do is to create a determinant for the eyes, goggles or whatever protection for the eyes, and to put it down here. Okay, for this, it's okay. Then we go to the proc 1, in which I have the question mark, which is related to the qualitative risk characterization types. And for the qualitative, I have to minimize the risk. And what I will have to do is to edit qualitative, semi-quantitative, and blah, blah. And I will write why the minimization is ensured. So my justification for my minimization and blah, 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 blah. And then, of course, this justification is okay for the routes that I've taken care of. And of course, the determinant which covers the eyes is justifying this. Okay, so now I'm happy, and also my contributing scenario, my risk characterization for the contributing scenario for closed system is okay. Is it clear what I meant with all the blah blah? Same for 8A, and of course I can do exactly the same. Of course, it's not a very, very easy and smooth thing, because you have to know what you're doing in your plant. You have to know in your plant and in the other plants, and you have to be able to report everything in your CSR in the correct way. Okay, having said so, we can, okay, let's do it also for the PROC test. So now everything is controlled. I can conclude something on my, so the risk characterization justification is appearing here and in the CSR, and I can add my, my determinants, which I'm not doing now because it's data. And then I can generate my CSR just by pressing the icon that you see in there. Of course, depending on the amount of information that you have on your life cycle tree and in the free text that you can you can fill in, it will require less or more time. And of course, it depends also on the powerfulness of your PC. And here in ECA, we do not have so much powerful PCs. So I will save it on the desktop just to show you how does it look. And I have to go to my desktop. How can I go to my desktop? Where is? So this is the file that we have generated. And I told you that my PC is not very. So I want to have F9. I want to have the table of content because I want to go and pick exactly the information related to my manufacturer, in which I have everything basically that I put inside. And my justification are appearing. I don't know if you can see. Shall I enlarge? And everything that I've changed, and the releases and the information that you have. Okay? So, and of course, everything is very transparent, meaning that what I have used to build my risk characterization is then inside the CSR. If I would have used something like external data, then I would have had, sorry, to define it in my box 4, to have it appearing under the method here. Okay, so this is what I wanted to tell you. Before, no, I don't want to save anything. I want to close Word, and I want to go back to my Chesar, which is here. And the last thing is that I want to show you, so now we have this substance here. I want to show you the fact that I can import a pre-filled CSR example that we already made for the illustrative example. I can import it, and of course now I have the full information inside, in which I can see that for some, so for example for formulation, I have this information. For the sites, I have used a SPERC. I forgot to tell you how to use the SPERC. If you have a SPERC, it's just instead of ERC, release factor or measure data, you use the SPERC that you have to have in your library, of course. Okay, so this is then at the end what you will have to have in your assessment to be kind of complying to the requirements. Okay, questions? Good. So I can go and finish the little presentation, and then question and answers. So, Chesar 2021 and whatever. So just a little bit of history. Chesar 1 has been released in May 2010. 1.2, with the support of the Expo scenario for communication, was released in July 2011. Chesar 2.0, so the previous version of what I show you today, was released 20th of June 2012. And Chesar 2.1, what is important, is planned to be released before the end of October, so basically next week. So if you want to know exactly when this tool will be available, then you should go to the Chesar website, subscribe to the request of to the fact that you have to be informed when something new happens in the website. Do it, because if not, you won't get any information, with the exclusion, of course, of our news alert and blah, blah. We try to communicate as much as possible, but sometimes is quite difficult to reach everybody. So if you have the automatic notification of what has been added in the website, would be much, much better. Chesar 2.2 is foreseen for Q1 2013, as already anticipated a bit before. So in Chesar 2.1, what is new is that basically what I showed you, the ESETOC TRA Consumer version 3, and a library to import the standard phrases catalog in order to then create later on, so next year, from next year on, the Expo scenario for communication. The full generation of the CSR is expected very soon, meaning that it will come before, in this quarter. And you will be able to import the information, as already mentioned, from Chesar 2.1 to Euclid 5.4, and the section 3.5 can be populated as well. And finally, you can generate the full CSR just starting from the Euclid. Finally, as a conclusion, as the key messages that I want to pass to you. So as we saw, Chesar is intending, or is meant to support the consistency of the workflow from the substance property until the final step of the CSA process, that is the risk characterization. It supports the consistency between the CSR and the information communicating downstream. And it helps, as far as possible, to avoid unnecessary duplication of work, enabling the reuse of the CSA elements across the different industry or across different users. And of course, this is what we would like to happen, is that the exchanges between Chesar, the sector organization, the downstream user organization, and whatever happens. So, well, we have the frame. It has to be a bit populated by the willingness of our stakeholders. And finally, as a last piece of information, it is free of charge. So everybody can go to the website. First, subscribe to the website, and then you can download the file, the thingy. Okay. Thank you for the attention, and of course, as I forgot to put in the slide. This is sorry, but we have in a Chesar website the full support, the manuals of the user manuals of Chesar, which are divided by boxes. So you have a lighter number of pages to read for each boxes than a full thing, but at the end, nothing is. I mean, you have to read a bit before being able to use Chesar. And we have here in ECA, we have a system in place, which is our help desk, which is willing to answer to all the questions that you may have. So you go to the ECA website, or to the Chesar website, and you will find the links to the request of information. Okay, thank you. Questions?
So we open the session now. For the rest of we have 15 minutes that you are able to pose any question about any of the presentation, any of the exercises we've done this afternoon, or actually since this morning at 11:15. As a reminder, we went through a presentation of the Euclid 5.4 main changes, where we had a review of the changes in sections 1, 2, 3, especially in section 3. Also mentioned the features of the new release 5.4.1 and the future, a brief mention on the future 5.5 that François Legoff gave for us. Then we had a live demonstration of the joint submission creation and dossier for submission via Reach IT by Ruben. And we also have the hands-on training that hopefully you could finalize or pretty much finalize. And this afternoon we have had Roberta with all the Chesar. And if you have any question, please, you can ask now.
Or never again.
You have any question on any of the topics of today's IT tools training? You can also continue with the exercise if you didn't finish and you're willing to do.
They are tired.
Yes. Nothing?
Was it just a question? No, sorry, a question from my side to you. Was it useful, this kind of demo, to get a bit of an idea of the tool? So, well, so it's then up to you to have fun with practicing.
It's available in the website. So
Sorry?
It's available.
In the website, of course, it's available. It's there. And again, next week you will have the version that I showed you. So either you try now with the version 2.0.1, which is available, or you wait for the 2.1, but do it. So you will have the fresh mind of this.
So I don't see any questions, and if so, I can conclude the IT tools training today. Thank you very much for your participation, and I hope you found it useful, and hope to see you in the next training one day. Thank you very much.